Have you ever noticed something really strange? You know exactly what needs to be done, right? Or you know the next step for that project or the task. And you also know that the deadline for that task is coming near, right? You know the consequences if you don't do that task. And even then, you still don't do it. Instead, you reorganize your desk, or maybe you'll start doing something like replying to those messages, or you will start watching one more YouTube motivational video. Better than everything, start scrolling on Instagram, right? You will research a little more about the same topic, same task again and again. You will wait for that right mood. Maybe you will think that I need more motivation, and if not anything else, you'll start telling yourself, tomorrow I'll do. And that tomorrow never comes and becomes next week and then the next. If you have ever looked at yourself and thought, this makes no sense, why am I doing this? Even after knowing, right? I want you to know something. You are not crazy and you are not lazy. And you are probably not lacking discipline either. Because the women I work with are some of the most capable women I have ever met. They run businesses, they run teams, they have big teams, they lead the entire team, they raise kids, manage families, they handle all the responsibilities so very well, solve all the problems all the day. These are not lazy women at all. So, if they are not lazy, then what is it that is actually happening? Why are they
Tasks
delaying, which were
the
actually
work.
important tasks and needed my 100% attention? Right? They were the meaningful tasks, maybe completing that order for my then boutique, the tasks that could change something really profound in my business. And those were the ones I postponed, not because I did not know how to do it, or maybe because I don't have time. No, none of those were the reasons. Because something inside me really resisted doing them. Have you ever experienced this? The task is very important, but you don't want to do it. The simple things get done, but the important things get delayed. That's when I started asking a different question. Not why do I procrastinate? Do I need to, push myself more? What if procrastination is not about the task itself? What if it's about what the task represents, right? The task is not the problem in 99% of the cases. Let's look at a few examples. Imagine you are about to launch something, a product or a new project, right? Maybe a coaching program, maybe a workshop, or maybe a new business idea. You wanted to launch that business. You know what needs to happen, right? You know all the steps that you need to take, but still you delay. Why do you think you delay even after knowing all the details? Not because the launch stage is difficult, because visibility feels uncomfortable. The result of that task is visibility and it feels uncomfortable. Now imagine a difficult conversation with somebody. You know you need to have it. You know you need to have that conversation anyways. But you know exactly what need to be said, right? But you keep postponing it. Why? Not because the words are difficult, not because you can't talk to them or you are scared. No, because conflict feels uncomfortable. What happens after you talk about that? What you have that difficult conversation. Imagine applying for a promotion. You know you are qualified. You know you are ready. Yet you hesitate to ask that boss. Why? Because you start thinking, what if that judgment feels very uncomfortable? What if the boss judges my work and tells me that you are not capable? The task is rarely the problem. The meaning that is attached, or the result that you are thinking will be the result attached to that task, is the problem. This is the fear nobody talks about. Most people think women procrastinate because they are afraid of failure. Sometimes maybe they are, but I see another fear. Sometimes I see another fear, a quieter fear, a fear many successful women don't even admit. Success. Success in itself creates the fear because success changes things, right? It may require more visibility, it may give you more responsibilities towards your work. The expectations from you yourself will increase, or the expectations of others will increase. More pressure on you to perform, More people are watching now. But now she had this success. What about the next? Sometimes the nervous system looks at success and says that feels dangerous. So it creates delay. Not because you are lazy, but because it's trying to protect you from that so-called uneasy feeling that you don't want to feel. This is why procrastination often feels irrational. Your mind wants one thing, maybe you want that promotion, but your nervous system wants another thing. It doesn't want that conflict, right? So now both are not in sync, and that's why, have you ever noticed how easy it is to scroll? Your brain loves certainty, right? Your brain loves safety. Your brain loves immediate rewards of dopamine, right? Instagram gives all the three. Important work doesn't. Important work asks for effort, discipline before even it gives you the reward. Risk before certainty. Even when you are certain about whether it is correct or wrong, you have to take that risk and perform. Discomfort before growth. You have to put yourself in that hard work place even before you get that growth. So naturally, the brain chooses what feels safer. Instagram scrolling, easy dopamine boost. This is not the problem begins when we mistake this nervous system response for a personality flaw, right? For years, people have treated procrastination like a time management problem, but actually, I don't think it is. It is a not a time management problem. I think it's often a trust problem. You know what to do. You know the next steps. You know the action that needs to be taken, but still you don't, right? You don't fully trust yourself to handle what happens after you take that action. So you wait for the reassurance, and waiting feels safer than taking that action or moving forward. That's why more productivity hacks don't solve this problem, because the problem is not productivity. You are productive, but it's trust on yourself and your decisions. The next time you procrastinate, don't ask yourself, how can I push myself or force myself to work more harder or to do more things? That's the wrong question. Ask yourself, how do I start trusting myself? What feels safe? What feels unsafe about this task? What are the both different things? Maybe it's judgment after you do it, or maybe the fear of rejection, maybe it's visibility. Maybe it's the fear of success itself. Maybe it's uncertainty. Name it. Because once you name it, you can work with it, right? You can work so that that problem gets solved. And suddenly, procrastination starts making sense when you understand the underlying reason, the underlying thing of that task. So, if you have been calling yourself lazy, then stop immediately. You may be carrying that fear, right? You may be carrying pressure or stress. You may be carrying even the uncertainty of what will happen next, right? But you are probably not lazy, or you are not procrastination, right? What's one thing you have been postponing even though you know exactly what to do and when to do, how to do it? Comment below. I do love to hear. And if this resonated, join the Access Masterclass using the link below and start trusting yourself again.